Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 2 in the Reddit League. Today, we have a matchup in Division 2 between Mr. Blue GG and Benica. For you, should prove to be quite an interesting match. As you can see in the stats, they currently sit second and third, respectively, in the division. Calamity, can you run us down on some of the stats they have after week 1?
I could, but I can't see them.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I'm not sharing that screen with you. So they both won their first leg with almost identical average points in their first game. Mr. Blue getting 24,913 with Benica 24,811. Their average kilometers off, which after 1 week is just what they got in week 1. Mr. Blue just under 0.4 kilometers off in his first game total, a very good distance there. And Benica also under 1 kilometer total at 0.86. Benica did get an ace in the first week while Mr. Blue failed. He had lots of 4,990 something scores, but didn't quite get that ace. And they both had a very good first game, as you can see. Those stats will, of course, even out as we play more weeks. They're pretty much just week 1 scores for this. And let's take a look at the map for the week. They're facing off in Brazil. This is a map made by Mapper. The average score of the map is 15,287. It has been played as of this week only 260 some odd times. But as you can note, the map was only created about 2 months ago. So a very new map that the players are playing on. There are over 2,000 hand-picked locations, as always, by Mapper to get rid of those bad cameras and photospheres. So it should be a decent viewing experience for you all. Calamity, what do you think about this matchup today?
It's going to be an interesting one. They both had very good results in their first week on North Macedonia, but Brazil is a completely different map, a much larger country with much less information to go off. So I don't think you can actually take much from week 1 to determine how this matchup will go, but it will certainly be an interesting one.
Certainly indeed. Week 1 didn't give us much to divide between these two. Well, let's see if Brazil can show us who's going to come out on top maybe in the division. With that, let's jump right in.
You can see there straight away a logo of a football club, Sao Paulo FC, which Mr. Blue is looking at. There's lots of these logos around generally in smaller towns, but they're usually not really an indication of where you are.
Yeah. So right off the bat, though, we do get a more urban location, which will be a relief to the players. Lots of information. Hopefully they can find a phone number to get one of those valuable area codes to tell them exactly where they are.
Yeah, that would certainly help them. I'm going to assume that almost all of the players who took part in this week have at least had a look at the phone codes and probably should know. Oh, there we go. Mr. Blue found the 65.
And I'm not quite sure. 65, I believe, is the western part of the Amazon. It's kind of south.
It's Mato Grosso. But
okay.
I think you're right with the western part of Mato Grosso, although I'm not quite sure on that.
Yeah, Benica also seen 65, but flashing very quickly over it. I don't know if he caught it. But Mr. Blue does zoom in on Mato Grosso, as you pointed out.
Yeah, Benica has also put his marker into Mato Grosso, so I think he probably did realize it.
Good.
Benica got teleported into nothingness.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
And it's a dead end as well.
Oh, unfortunately, he's going to have to click. Oh, nope, he got out of it. Nah, that's a big save.
Mm,
When you have to go all the way back to the start and try to redo everything, that's just horrible. Especially when you're on a timer. It's very
mm.
rough. Looks like they both have found a major road with quite a few signs they can use. So what should they be looking for on these major roads, Calamity?
The one thing you look out for is the thing that Benica just found. Uh, in that case, not particularly helpful because it just says south on it. But a lot of these blue kilometer marker signs have the road number on it. Sometimes it'll be a national road, then you'll just have BR dash and the number of the national road. Some other times it'll give you the state as well if it's a state road.
Yeah, the national roads are very long in Brazil. So even if you find them, they're not exactly the most helpful thing. And if I
Mm,
remember right, the kilometer markers reset for every state.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so even though that doesn't give you much information, the kind of gold nuggets you're looking for is those state roads, which give you the state abbreviation you're in, which can be very helpful in a big country like Brazil.
Benica's
Makes
found
that map panning nice.
Benica's found the
Sorry.
town name, Rosario Oeste. I think it's a bit further to the west than where he's got his marker right now. And yeah, Mr. Blues
Oh,
ran out of time.
he's running out of time on his game. Very close, not too close, actually. 3,256 points for him. Ooh, and Benica, 4,263. That's just over a 1,000 point lead after round one.
Yeah,
Very
it's a
nice.
good start for him. He did find the town name with about 30 seconds left. I think he couldn't quite find the town. He got a bit lucky that he ended up closer than Mr. Blue, who I don't know if he found the town name as well. I didn't see it on his view, but I wasn't looking at it all the time. So, yeah, probably not.
Yeah, I don't think he found anything to really help him kind of narrow in too much. Both players did have the national road and the state from the zip code, not zip code, the area code
Yeah.
rather, the wrong service, and so that did help them out. And I guess yeah, maybe just a little bit of luck for Benica there, putting his marker down a little bit closer to the city than Mr. Blue, unfortunately for him. Well, with that, let's get into round number two. And again, plenty of buildings, not a bad location.
And straight away, Benica found another area code, 77, which is in Bahia, in the state of Bahia. And Mr. Blue's looking at the same one right now.
Yeah, you mentioned at the beginning of the video that Brazil doesn't have a lot of information, but the first two seeds for this game are in cities. So maybe a little bit of luck there for these two.
Yeah. And the thing is, even in cities, there's not much you can go off. There's not a lot of information that you can find other than area code and city name, which gives you a rough location to look for, but it can still involve a lot of searching on the map if it's a rather large area code and a rather small town/city.
Yeah, indeed. And it often can be very difficult to kind of find your way out of those smaller streets and find a major road that you can use to pinpoint yourself. So I always get lost in those. Mr. Blue has seen Bahia on a sign. If the area code wasn't enough, that sign should do it.
It can also get surprisingly difficult in Brazilian cities sometimes to find the name of the city.
But Benica has found a few recognizable names.
That's it. Actually, I don't know how useful that sign is. Those are major
He
cities
knows he's
all
very
over
far
Brazil.
away, yeah, but
Oh, we got teleported again.
but at least they'll be recognizable for our viewers. They'll be able to recognize those names. Some more city names on an exit, at least.
That's
So
more useful, yeah.
There you go. So should Mr. Blue and Benica here be spending a lot of time reading these signs, or are they pretty much a waste beyond the area code, Calamity?
I think I think what Mr. Blue is looking for is a town name, which you could find on those signs, and it appears he has found it because he seems pretty confident about Vitoria de Conquista. He probably did see that on one of those signs. Once you do have a town name and an area code, you probably shouldn't spend any more time looking at signs like that. At the same time, Benica, I saw as well before we started talking about that, saw the road marker that had Brazil National Road 116 on it. So he's currently looking along that, I think.
It appears so. Looks like he's going to come up on a kilometer sign for some cities in an intersection. That'll be really helpful for him. But he has made his way out of town a bit, so he'll have to do some backtracking to get that pin in a good location. Mr. Blue, on the other hand, though, is going block by block, trying to pinpoint his location, and he'll jump back to the start to do so.
Yeah, Benica, in the meantime, has found the right city. And he's...
an ace! Sorry, Mr. Blue has guessed. His time, I don't know if his time ran out or if he guessed, but either way, he has got an ace, 5,000 points. Ooh, but Benica not too far behind, 4,988 points. So yeah, he did get the city in the end, but with not enough time to do any street combing. But Mr. Blue, an ace, very nice for him.
Yeah, but between the two, especially since we already know both of them dropped quite a few points in the first round, those 12 points probably won't make the difference in the end.
We'll have to see as we get into round number 3. What do you think our odds are of getting another one of those city locations, Calamity?
Low.
Make it 3 for 3? Maybe not. I don't know.
No.
Doesn't appear so as I set the video.
Definitely
Does not
not
appear so.
Yeah, getting 2 locations in cities in a row is already pretty rare for Brazil. 3 wasn't going to happen.
And indeed, they do not have the gods on their side for this one, at least. They're on a dirt road far from any city, it would appear.
There's one very lonely house there at the start. Something they might be able to use for pinpointing later on if they do find the right location.
I don't think I saw any writing or a phone number on that.
I don't think there was any.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if they find anything on that road, because it doesn't look like a road where you'd usually see a kilometer marker on the side of it.
Yeah. What I noticed playing my own matches in Brazil was that some of the states don't have paved roads and they don't have kilometer markers on the roads. So it can make it a little tough because you think you're not on a major road, but then you'll end up being on a state highway. It just doesn't quite always look like it.
Especially state roads as well. I've noticed that too are oftentimes, they just look like dirt roads in the middle of nowhere. And they also don't have any signs that tell you the state.
Oh, but while you say that, Mr. Blue has found a very nice sign, a municipality limitation between 2 cities. So that should help him.
If he recognizes either of the 2.
True, he has to recognize what he's looking at. Are those major municipalities, like a kind of state, not a state border, but like a bigger border he might be able to find? Or
they might be. I'm probably the wrong person to ask when it comes to Brazilian cities. Mm-hmm. I was looking through a list recently where it was like, I don't know, somewhere over 100 cities in Brazil with over 100,000 inhabitants, and I recognized like 15 of them. So
you always forget how not just big in terms of geographic size, but population Brazil is. And as you wander through some of these towns, you're like, oh, this can't be a 100K or 500K city. And nope, sure enough, it is.
Mm,
And it's like, oh, I didn't, yeah, kind of blows your mind sometimes. I guess it's just very spread out.
yeah.
So the density kind of deceives you there.
There's
But
lots of big cities, and then you get absolutely nothing for 200 kilometers, and then you get the next big city.
yeah, Benica did manage to find himself a paved road, which might have some kilometer markers he can use. Mr. Blue seems to have something he wants to look for. He's spending some time in that map scouring
Yeah.
for something.
I didn't see anything except that municipality sign, of course, on his screen. That would have given me a lot of information.
With about 20 seconds left, Benica still has just under a 1,000 point lead. And as they go, Mr. Blue is down to 10 seconds. I guess he's just trying to maybe get lucky and find something. He'll move his pin with 2 seconds.
I think that might actually be the right city that he's
might
to
be
the
it. He's
east.
very
Oh,
close.
yeah.
Indeed, he actually pulls out 4,898 points in that round. Looks like he did find it, Calamity.
Yeah,
And Benica shows us all that he doesn't pay for Geoguessr.
I'm gonna have to assume that Mr. Blue recognized the city name and just
And as Benica reveals his score, 207. Disastrous. What? I don't think he saw even that municipality sign.
No, I don't think he saw anything, to be honest. That being said, the landscape down there doesn't quite look like that. It looks a lot more like you'd recognize from Uruguay, like very flat, but also not that dry. So yeah, I guess he still probably wouldn't have gotten a much better score, but yeah, Rio Grande do Sul doesn't look like that.
Yeah, that's so even with no information written, at least, you really have to rely on that climate and geography to try to help you at least get the right latitude, maybe, for some of these locations in Brazil. So yeah, with that, Mr. Blue takes a gigantic lead going into round number
4.
Round number 4. Gotta remember which video I'm looking at for which time. Round number 4. Yeah. Calamity, Brazil is not a kind map, to put it lightly. But does Benica even have any kind of chance to do anything?
Yes, it depends a lot on the last 2 locations. If they're more like the first 2, then I'd say probably not. But if they're anything like the last one, it depends a bit on what either of them find as well, which direction do they take, and how familiar they are with things like Brazilian cities, for example. But I wouldn't count him out just for being 4,000 points behind with 2 rounds to go in Brazil.
Okay, well, yeah, like compared to, I think, last week in North Macedonia, a lead like that was pretty good. But in Brazil, it's a whole nother matter.
That being said, this location doesn't exactly look like the most difficult one.
Indeed, a paved road at a junction, so there should be lots of city names and road signs. Not exactly what Benica maybe would have hoped for to come back from that deficit. And Mr. Blue right away zooming in. He seems pretty confident that he knows where these cities are.
Which cities did he see? I wasn't looking at his screen.
I'm not sure exactly. He put us right. They go so fast, I can't read it even on the map. Something Triba.
Okay.
Curitiba.
Curitiba. Okay. Yeah. That's one of the few Brazilian cities I'd know.
Yeah, it is a major city, and he has found a few other names, another limit of a municipality.
And he's found both of those cities.
He has found them. And Benica, though, is also a little bit south of that location, but he has us in the right region at least. Yeah, so this game proving to have quite a bit of information for our players, except for the last round, city locations and whatnot. Not too difficult. Even some major city names.
Yeah, a game like that is always a bit worrying to play when you're in a position where you made a mistake, because you know that you're playing against very good players, and every mistake you make is kind of something where it's difficult to come back from when all the other locations are this easy.
Yeah, you really hope that your opponent did as bad as you did on the more difficult rounds, and hope that you can still put up some respectable numbers in the more easy locations. That's pretty much all he has to hope for right now. But Mr. Blue, I believe, looks like he has found the interchange, so he won't be making many points up on this round. I'll leave it all for round 5.
Mm. And now with only one round to go, then that's a whole different story about making up 3,700 points. That's going to be a lot more difficult.
A very big ask indeed. And with about 40 seconds left, we'll see if Mr. Blue can get his second ace of the game. I don't think we've seen a 2-ace game so far across any of the divisions.
I'm not sure. I remember one game where we had might have been Ice Taro, Tall Impala, where both of them had 0 meters in one of the rounds. I'm pretty sure either of them at least had one more ace in that game. It would surprise me if they didn't.
Yeah, so maybe there was one. Oh, there we go. We have a guess by Mr. Blue, which will put him at a second ace, 5,000 points. Very nice. Don't click that button quite yet, my friend. Got to preempt you on that. Yeah. But Benica, unfortunately, is going to be too far south, and it'll cost him over almost 2,000 points, 3,027. So he'll fall even further behind, making the comeback in the final round even more implausible.
I'd actually say impossible, considering it's over 5,000 points now, the gap.
Indeed. Some quick math there by Calamity. And as we get into this round, we are on a paved road at least, which should give us some hopes of some kilometer markers.
It's also a round with broken coverage. Broken in the sense that you can't really move forward very well here. It kind of just jolts you sideways. So it's a bit annoying to play. So at the end of the day, it's the same for both of them, but still, you don't think of that while you're playing it.
Yeah, there's a very nice national road sign, Brazil 20, along with a kilometer marker for Mr. Blue. So, yeah, while it was mathematically impossible, it is also probably practically impossible because Mr. Blue has a decent bit of information to go off of.
That being said, the Brazil, the National Road 20 is very long, and these kilometer markers are only slightly helpful, because I think you mentioned that before, how they reset at state borders.
Yeah, yes, and they do.
So basically, since it only said like 15, or I think it was 17 kilometers, it basically means either you're 17 kilometers from the first big city, which is Brasilia, or 17 kilometers from the other big city, which is the one the national road is leading to, or you're 17 kilometers from any of the state borders in between those two cities, which there are like probably at least 3 or 4. So you're looking at about 10 possible different locations, all pretty far apart.
Yes, that's not exactly an easy list to try to narrow down, but compared to the entire country, it's very comforting.
It's better than nothing, but you saw before like how Benica was, I don't exactly know how much it was, like 50 to 100 kilometers away, which isn't that far in all of Brazil, and you still lost 2,000 points there. So even if you're on the right road, you can still end up with very little points.
Don't I know it from my own game? My own game, I did find the right road, but I was at the wrong end of it. So that was a good time.
Mm.
But with just about a minute left, Mr. Blue is scouring that road for one of those possible locations you mentioned, Calamity. And Benica, though, still looks as lost as when he jumped into the round.
I don't know
I
if
think he has seen a kilometer marker, but I don't think he has anything else to go off of. And he's trying to find some more information rather than searching the map.
It's probably not a bad idea or a bad way to go about things, but I don't think there is much information he can find here.
It doesn't look like Mr. Blue has much information either, with about 15 seconds left. He's just going to put us down.
I'm surprised
near
he's
the road.
Looking for the 20. Because that's not where the 20 is, I think.
Did he forget?
Maybe.
He has put a pin in almost a very similar place, and his time will run out. Yeah, he's a bit off. 3,156. Maybe he forgot about the road. Oh, but Benica doing even worse. 1,693 points in that round. So while he didn't even make up points in the final round, it's a little bit disappointing, but didn't find any of that. Let's take a look at the scores. As you can see, when Mr. Blue played his, he was one of the very first people to play the seed. So we don't even get to see Benica's score. We'll see it here at the final. Benica finishing with a total of 14,178, while Mr. Blue finishing with 21,310. He'll be happy with that, not only for the win, but for the big score differential that'll he'll be taking into round number 3. So, Calamity, your thought on the game?
Yeah, it looked like they both knew what they were doing in Brazil generally. Benica got unlucky in round 3 that he just didn't find any information at all other than the landscape, which, as I said before, he misjudged a bit maybe, but yeah, he probably wouldn't have gotten many more points anyway. And yeah, other than that, Mr. Blue played very well. He I don't know if he knew where the 20 was exactly and he just wanted to go slightly next to it for whatever reason, or if he just got lucky there, or I don't know what happened there. Maybe he can tell us in the comments if he watches this.
Yeah, Mr. Blue, if you're watching, please indeed tell us kind of what happened in that final round. I do believe his video has commentary, so if you don't want to wait for that, you can head over to his YouTube channel and watch his video yourself to listen in to what exactly happened in that final round. It was his worst round of the game, actually. So might be interesting to find out. So, Calamity, next week, who will these two be facing off in our first world map of the league?
Next week, Mr. Blue is going to be playing Yellow Skarmory, and Benica is going to be playing Slovak Goalie. Mr. Blue Skarmory will be a duel more towards the top of the table, while Benica Slovak Goalie is going to be slightly lower down the table. Both of them will probably be relatively important games for both the competitors to see which direction they're going to be heading in. If you want to hear more about those kinds of predictions, you should probably check out our Reddit League show on week 2, where we talked about those predictions more in detail.
Indeed, yeah, you can check that out where we cover all the happenings in each of the divisions one by one, as well as the upcoming matches, and get some predictions from our pundits. With that, yeah, I'm really looking forward to the Mr. Blue and Yellow Skarmory. They're both newcomers to Division 2, so they'll be looking for a bit of that newcomer pride to see who's one of the best of the newcomers in that matchup. But that'll do it for us today, folks. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time in another exciting matchup. I think we're going to try to do at least one matchup from each division. every week as long as we get the videos rolling in. So please subscribe and like the videos. Lets us know that you want to see more of this kind of content. And the players have been having a blast watching their own videos being commentated on. So hopefully that encourages them to send us lots of videos so you guys can watch lots of great matchups. And we'll see you all next week on a global map. Take care.
Bye.